Start.
Hello, everyone, and hi, Meera. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Well, my afternoon, your morning time. We've come together here today for this call because I approached you and I was like, "Hey, Meera, we've been working together. I don't know if you realize this since the end of July 2014, with a bit of a gap in between."
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought that you had so much wisdom to share, and your experience would be really inspirational to other people based on just how you have transformed over the last 3 years, how you've grown and developed, etc. And so I just asked you to come and join me for a quick call and sharing your story a little bit and to share with other people. So thanks very much, first of all, for agreeing to that.
You're welcome.
And of course, also, thanks. And also, hello to Munich, I guess. So you're in Munich right now. We're happening to be in Thailand right now. And I know that you work for a large corporation in Munich, or it's a global company, really, as a supply chain manager. Let us know just quickly what that actually means for you on a daily basis, what the work is all about.
So I work with, like you said, a big international corporation. I work for their German side of the business. So my job really makes sure that we have the right stock of the right products. So whatever the company sells in Germany, so my role is to ensure we are in stock for the right products at the right time and making sure that we serve our customers with the right selection. Yeah. So that's what I do.
Yeah, very complicated logistics kind of a job, huh?
Yes.
So, and I think when we first got speaking together, that is not what you were doing at the time. And it might also be worth mentioning what brings you to Munich or to Europe in the first place, because you're actually Indian, right?
Yes. All my life I've just sort of followed the flow. I am Indian. I've lived there for the major part of my life. 10 years back, I met a German guy who is now my husband back in India. And since then, we've moved across the world as expatriates. We lived in Poland. We now live in Germany. So so I'm a very mobile, I have a sort of mobile life. Yeah.
And that's mostly due to your husband's work also, right? So I think when we met, you actually were still living in Poland. So that was also due to his work, I understand. And so do you remember what back then prompted you to get in touch with a coach or think about getting a coach in the first place?
Yeah. Back then, I was working for another international corporation in Poland, and I had a mentor back then in the company. And during one of our lunch meetings, he told me that about the work he's doing, to deepen his connection with himself, that he's following the work of Tony Robbins. And I was like curious about what the whole thing is. Who is Tony Robbins? What is life coaching and all that? So I was extremely interested. So I went to the website. And after reading a lot, I saw this section where it said, if you want to experience coaching, sign up for a free session. And I thought, why not? Just play with it. And I signed up. And after, like 1 hour of free session, strategy session, I found it quite interesting. And I was curious, more and more curious, of course. And then I signed up to have a life coach. And luckily for me, you got assigned to me. And I think that is the beginning of a beautiful journey, unwittingly, just played along with life. And there you come into my life. And it's been, the bond we created has been one of the, most fulfilling. It's one of the closest relationships I've had with somebody, and I'm really grateful that I have you in my life.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. I'm always inspired by you and appreciate and value our relationship immensely. I was curious though, when you were speaking about your mentor that you had at the other workplace, often when somebody mentions another book or what they're doing and personal development as a general idea, I guess there's something still underneath just the curiosity that prompts us to pick a book up or that prompts us to go and work with somebody. So do you remember what kind of areas of life you were at least somewhat dissatisfied with to want to improve them?
Yeah. So I've always been the hungry types. I've always wanted to know what's out there. And back at that time, I was fulfilling my hunger for travel and learning new cultures, learning about new cultures by, just being with my husband, moving around the world. But I sensed that there was something more I could be, in terms of just as a person, being more at peace with myself, being more calm. Um, and just feel that inner sense of calm every day. And then another dimension is, okay, I'm doing this work. How is that fulfilling my potential? I think I can do something more. I don't know what that is. And other things like relationships, money, and I thought that there was some element that could bring it all together so beautifully. There was an undercurrent which I could sort of leverage. And back then I was having conversations with friends, people I know. But how conversations with friends go, you meet and just chat. But it was great, it helped me like sort of lighten my load. But I felt like I needed some sort of support, somebody who would just listen to me and help me move forward, get
Yeah,
clarity.
I think getting clarity on what you wanted at the time was a big part of it, right? Like I was looking back through the notes, and the main topics were sort of around the work, like knowing that on paper you had like a really great job, good money, all the perks, living this international lifestyle with your now husband. But there was kind of something missing, and a sense of fulfillment and purpose was missing. So we talked a lot about that, I think, in the first few months. And also health was a big topic, right? You
Yes.
wanted to improve your health and have a focus on that. And I guess quite quickly we established that this inner sense of calm was part of what would make the shift in all of the areas, right? Relationship, money, like the work situation and the health situation. So I was wondering, like, because we all have one expectation that we enter a coaching relationship with as to what would change or how things would change. And then the reality or the experience is quite different.
Yeah.
Do you remember what surprised you, or what kind of how the initial experience was for you?
Yeah. So I came into the coaching relationship thinking that, okay, I'm earning this much money, I'm in this position, I want to be there earning that much money, I don't know, in 2 years, right? So that was my target. And I thought that was what coaching is about. And then you sort of shifted my perspective, saying, why? Okay, great. What would having that mean for you? How would that fulfill you? And that sort of started a inquiry, or like you say, that being a scientist of your own life, inquiring deeper. And that then opened the doors to so many little secrets or great discoveries, small and little. That has been the enriching part of the last 2.5 years.
Do you remember, like, so I always find it fascinating because in the beginning,
Mhm.
when we've identified the problems or we're talking about something that you feel stuck with, it's always, it seems unsurmountable, right? It seems like really, like the stuckness feels really real. But then in hindsight, once the knot is sort of popped and it's resolved, we kind of forget how difficult or how much trouble we had with this thing first. And I remember there was a distinct phase of change for you around how you were communicating with your husband, because you're a brilliant couple, but you were still feeling stressed or arguing sometimes, or like, there's stuff going on. What do you think were those, the things that helped you then transform and have more sense of peace, or, talk
Yeah.
with your husband?
That was one of the, I mean, it was very enriching, that discovery itself on how to turn a relationship around without taking too much effort, actually, just being aware. So basically, I mean, like you said, we are a nice couple. We have our lovely times. We love each other. But, typical scenario is like we both come back home from work and we're stressed. And at 6 or 7 in the evening, he comes back home, and a small little statement gets into an argument, and then the evening is just unharmonious. And I was like struggling with that for a year, not for, I mean, for, yeah, more than a year. And the discovery that helped it happen is like just to be just to be aware, just to be empathetic that he's also come back from a long day. Put yourself in his shoes. Give yourself both space, actually, when you come into the home, to give yourself space to be your people. And the other element that helped was the feminine and the masculine aspect of being people. So me being feminine in a corporate world, we always have to mold ourselves into the masculine personalities most of the time. But when I come back home nowadays, I try to slip into my feminine element. That could be just listening to music, um, admiring my flowers, which I love, the flowers in my home,
Yeah.
just slipping into that mode. And then that makes me open and eager to receive my husband and be willing to, let's say, nurture him. Just
Mm-hmm.
that. And it's not nurture in a big sense of the word, not like, cooking a big meal or anything. It's just like, hey honey, I'm so happy to have you back home. And I say that with so much authenticity once I've given myself that space. And then I give him that space to do whatever he wants. Maybe for him it's just like, I don't know, half an hour in the gym or whatever. But just giving that space to each other has been so wonderful that I made that change in myself. But I see that even without me doing anything, my husband has started changing as well.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're actually highlighting a point that often comes up, when working on relationship side of things, because I think it can feel sometimes that only one person changing isn't enough, but it can make a huge impact, right? I
Yes.
remember you're telling a story about being in the car, and instead of like freaking out about not finding directions or something, it was at the airport, I can't remember the exact story, suddenly you just had this insight and you responded with so much more grace, and it was really fine. And
Yeah.
you had made such shifts, but also being able to share your own journey
Mm.
more with your partner is also, I think, a really beautiful gift that you have created in your relationship. So in terms of the work situation, work and money beliefs, we spend a lot of time on that. What do you think, what were your goals initially? You were sort of starting to talk a little bit about making X amount of money, being in this position, and then we started talking about fulfillment as well as the success, and plans changed. So how did it shift from there over the last 2 years?
Yeah, so when I started, it was all about the money. It was all about, where do I go in my corporate career? But then the discoveries or this, these conversations we had helped me realize, what do I really want? Would getting to that corporate, next levels make me happy, or is it something else? And what I realized was that being more connected to myself, having space and time to know more about me and not just rush through life or sleepwalk through life. It sounds simple, but just slipping into that realization and doing more to connect, be aware, and just be happy has meant a lot more than sitting in that corner office to me. So
Mm.
um, yeah, so I quickly realized that this is not what I would want to do for, I don't know, 5, 10 or more years of my life. I want to change. And that journey then became, okay, more than money and position, what is it that what is it that I want? What is it that when I'm 50 or 60 that I would look back and say, hey, that was great what I did. And I've been enriching my life, so much, and not just being stuck to position and money. And
What do you think? Go on. You
yeah,
were going to
and
say
money is still there. It's not that it's gone away. Not that I'm saying I'm, impoverished and happy. I am still quite happy with the money I have, and yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a bit of an idea also often that um, when you're pursuing what is meaningful, that means that you have to do without the money, right? And I think that's such a widespread belief that keeps people in jobs that are somewhat dissatisfying to them. And it's not even that companies like yours especially treat people badly or anything like that. They're great jobs, right? Oftentimes you get into them and you have a great community of people around you, etc. However, if there is something missing, right, like people talk about there being something missing and meaning being missing, then I think there's a phase of identifying what people would rather do, right? Which we spend quite a lot of time on as well, and we'll talk about that in a second. Knowing what you really, really want is not always as straightforward, right?
Yeah.
But also working on plans that are actually financially sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
So as you know, people will hear later on that there is a plan in place to get you to that point within the next 6 months now, that, you know, it's very clear as to what you would like to create. But I would like to hear from you, what do you think helped you in this process of awakening, becoming more conscious, being, I guess, mindful about what it is you actually want, becoming the scientist in your life? What kind of, maybe even books or tools or concepts did you learn about that were really probably most life-changing at that time?
Yeah, it's I mean, to answer that question, I'll have to condense like 2+ years of my so I hope I'm doing. I mean, my memory still holds well. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I've always been very ambitious, and I always wanted to do a million things, and be good at everything. So first of all was for me to sort of slow down and gather those elements that make me truly happy. So over time, I realized, or I strengthened my realization that being closer to spirituality, for me, spirituality would mean doing a lot more yoga, meditation, connecting to, I don't know, learning new stuff about spirituality, the meaning behind certain, I don't know, Indian customs and practices which are enchanting. So that was one. Another was, my love for gardening, my love for plants. Another was my ability to connect with people and the joy I get out of being with people, and sort of as a mentor or as a manager, how I've been able to help people develop themselves or perform better. So those are elements that sort of tied together, and I was like, I want to grow in that direction. So that slowing down from those, I don't know, millions of elements that were inspiring me, to sort of distill that into 4 or 5 elements that gave me the most happiness, has taken time. It wasn't a one shot discovery. It took time, that self-realization. So over time, I realized these are the elements that I want more of in my life. Of course, I also have a deeper connection with my husband and my family back in India, have more time and space to connect with them. So these are, let's say, I am now clear on what my priorities are.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. So I think, you're highlighting that once the vision becomes clearer for how you would like to feel, how you would like to work and contribute to society and the world, there's actually, several things that are really, really important. But in your case, it was a lot about initially looking at what are actually things that give you energy and what are the things that drain your energy. And I know exactly where I was when we had our first conversation, and you were speaking so fast on the phone. It's like this is what I want, this is what I'm going to go for it, and and I'm not sure if this is the right thing, and so you were like super fast, and there's of course no relaxation and peace of mind right there. So I think you're right, like all these small discoveries of what puts you in flow, what brings out more sort of like what the Taoist would say is yin energy, right? Like the slower, watery energies that are more feminine, associated with the feminine. So the gardening and the meditating and stuff. And you put all these in place, right? Like you actually ended up having this routine of working out and meditation, and having that every day be part of your day, or like you were saying, using gardening and such like. But yeah, I also know that you read a lot when you're commuting, right, to and from work on the train. What kind of books did you read as part of our work together that really you thought was, they were just life-changing? Do you remember? What are your favorites?
I read like almost a book every week, so it's again, I don't keep track, but I'll just tell you what comes off the top of my head. The work of Matt Kahn and Julie Dietmar has been interesting for me, very inspiring. Michael Singer, Untethered Soul, and his other words, very, very inspiring. Oh God, my memory is just failing me. I mean, these two, I mean, stand out. Just the fact that this
Yeah.
come to my memory so, easily, it's really good. I do read a lot on Indian spirituality, works of great masters from the Indian spirituality. So that's like another area. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Because what's really fun, and I think what some people underestimate, is all the work that gets done in between the coaching conversations, right? So in order to get the most out of it, you're not just investing your money in coaching, right? You're investing your time, investing your energy, you spend time reading, you think a lot about things, you practice the different concepts that we talk about, and you've just been so immersed, like
yeah,
fully immersed in the process, which has allowed for your change. I think that's worth pointing out. And my recommendations of books, you're always like, I bought it like immediately.
yeah.
So that's part of it,
You
isn't
tell
it?
me
So
that yesterday, and I have the book lying on my table today.
excellent, perfect. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of part of the
And
process.
another
And
shift that happened is, I was a person who, like, I meet somebody inspiring. They tell me that, I read this book about that. I read this book about this. You should read this book. Anybody should read this book. Now I've put a filter system, like, I don't have to read all the books everybody recommends to become great. I sort of also see what resonates with me. So, I mean, you and I have great resonance. So the kind of books you recommend have always worked for me. But I also, it's about it's about not having to fit to everybody's standards, not having to please everybody. I don't have to tell somebody, oh yeah, I love that book and that book and that book, and every book that everybody else has said is great. But it's also like being comfortable who you are, being comfortable saying that that's not my thing, this is my thing, and just be honest.
and
And
equally becoming, I think, comfortable being yourself, right? Like, so what I think was specifically stands out for me for the last year was, so you went down this sort of rabbit hole, Alice in Wonderland, like, with your discoveries around spirituality and spiritual practices. And it was almost difficult for you, it seemed to me, as a woman in the corporate world, and with a very practical, rational partner, to be interested even just in that, right? And to share that and to have
to even
new
acknowledge
connections with
that,
people like
yeah, to even
that. Right, right.
tell my husband that, these are some things I'm interested in. And if somebody says, oh my God, that is crazy, are you crazy? And nowadays I said, crazy for you but not for me, right? So I've started adding so much to my life that other people might consider crazy. They might not understand or be interested, but that's okay for me. That's one of the biggest shifts again in the last 2 years, being comfortable being yourself.
Absolutely. And so, since it started sort of around the money and professional route and knowing what you want, would you like to share a little bit about what you're currently working on and what has become apparent for you?
Okay. So, like I said, the last 2 years has brought a lot of clarity about what I would want more in my life. So that's working with people, connecting with people, um, being of, I don't know, service, helping them also improve the quality of their life. So, I mean, you've been a big inspiration on that front. And over the last 2 years, I felt that okay, there were days when when I was of service to people, and it really enlightened me as well. It lifted my spirits as well as theirs. So I thought, why not coaching? Why not become a coach? And these thoughts came to my mind several times in the last 1 year, but I was like, shh, no, that's not for me again. So again, the last 1 year has also, you know, the last 1 year has also been, curious, right? Okay, this thought is coming up so many times, so why not give it a shot? So I've always played along with the things that come in my life. So why should I just, shush it away? So late last year, I decided, okay, I'll give this a shot. So with your support, I started discovering, okay, what would I like to do, and break down my own internal challenges of why should the world need another coach, or why me, and why there are so many extra awesome coaches like you out in the world. What else can I bring to the world? So then through our conversations, I just got it just got ingrained in me that, the fact that, just being myself has helped so many people, and I can just bring that to the world. And I just started realizing that in December, and already in the last 3 months, I've had few conversations with people where they said that, wow, that you helped me, thank you so much. And that sort of makes me feel happy. And that's the sort of work I would love to do the rest of my life, because it brings so much to them and so much to me. And this is exactly what lightens up my world.
Yeah, and you've literally like blossomed and lit up in so many beautiful ways. It's been incredible to watch for me also. And I think thank you so much for saying that actually you just being you is enough for, as a reason for what you have to bring as a coach. And I think also the beauty in the training that you're taking right now, the work that we did together, is that it doesn't all have to be in the format of you're going to be the next life coach, right? So our journey actually right now is very much involved in, okay, well, what is your version of that going to look like? Because one could do coaching in the corporate context, in a spiritual context, in a business context, right? It could be so many different things. This is the transition you're finding yourself in right now, is now that you have something that feels meaningful to you, and that you're going to want to use these kinds of tools and skill sets that you already have a natural aptitude for also in your work, then it gives us, the next concrete step from having changed from Poland to Munich to now even more meaningful work. So I'm excited to see that shift happen. What do you think were because you were sort of touching upon the beliefs you were having about why you couldn't be another coach, etc. What did you start believing about yourself that helped you to trust your intuition and to go with what feels right to you, no matter what it is, spirituality, coaching, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, coaching for me, or discovering yourself as a person for me, is going one layer deeper into yourself every time. So over the last 2 years, I've become more and more comfortable with myself, more and more comfortable acknowledging what I am, and being fearless in, when somebody questions me, saying that that's what I am, and I'm so happy being what I am. But I'm enjoying the process of that getting deeper and deeper. Like nowadays it comes like I have to remind myself, Meera, be what you are. I want to reach the point where I'm just unconsciously saying that. No, I don't have to hold myself back. I'm just so fearless and open. So I want to be that. So like I said, I'm in that journey. So I'm not there yet. So that meant that I do have a lot of self-doubt. So I do, like when somebody questions myself, there is a voice inside me telling me, yeah, they're right. Why would the world need another one of a life coach? So those voices do come up, but that's when coaching with you helps, because then you ask me those powerful questions which make me think, why not? And I have touched so many lives so far. Why wouldn't I be of service? And holding myself back would mean that somebody else does not get served. And we are all powerful human beings, and I think all of us can help each other. There are times when all of us need a person just to listen to us, give us some powerful, ask us some powerful questions. Why not? Why should we hold ourselves back? And I think coaching connects to my spirituality in a way that spirituality is about the world becoming truly one, and us having empathy and love for each other. And coaching is a great part of that. It's universal goodness that we put out there. The best part of ourselves we offer up to another human being and serve them in the best way we can do at that moment. What else? That for me is the best thing one can do with life. Yeah.
To me too. 7 years in running, for sure. And I think it's important also, to show you've been so invested in this process in a longer time frame, right? Like we're talking 2.5 years. And I have a coach. I always have a coach. Maybe sometimes I take some breaks, like you had a few months off in between as well, to sort of incorporate, adjust, realign, assimilate the making your own growth and development the focal point, right? And I think in your case, what has probably been the most remarkable journey, or part of the journey, has been this shift in self-image, right? Like who you see yourself to be, from actually being quite shy. I think you actually described yourself as a wallflower to me at one point. Shy, sort of closed woman, to having confidence and showing up and not caring about what other people think, and standing up for your interests, whether it's with your husband or whether it's with friends or new people. I remember recently you met some other people, and there was some judgment in the air about coaching or certain professions, etc. And for you to just be like, wow, that says something about that person, not me, right? Like that's a big step forward to acknowledge, I think, as well. And now I'm excited because you can see it happen in real life. So that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. Was there anything else that you would like to share about, the story of your transformation, what's been most important to you when you look back and appreciate your own growth?
I mean, I would recommend coaching to anybody. It is a great investment one can do in oneself, and I am so much more happier today because of that investment. And I think it's totally worth it, worth your money, time, efforts, everything. And coaching with you has been awesome. So you are a bright soul, you are a loving, caring human being, very authentic. And I think your emotional intelligence is quite high up there. So that's why you are a wonderful coach. So thank you for that. And again, about coaching, it's just that there's a saying, right? You start off in a ship from, let's say, New Jersey, and a 1-degree course correction can maybe land you in Ireland or Morocco. So for me, life coaching is that every session or every discovery makes you tilt your course a little different, and where you can end up can make a world of difference. And I'm enjoying the journey. I think I will have a coach till the end of my life. And it's that constant learning, constant discovery, because we human beings are such amazing, complex, beautiful, deep creatures. And sometimes we need a support, somebody totally investing their attention on you to help you bring out those gems in you. So,
and also to be challenged. My coach at the moment is like super challenging me to do what's uncomfortable, and making very bold requests and asks, and I wouldn't do it without her either. So I think there's this being challenged, the sweet balance of being challenged and being supported in some ways, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's different from sitting across a table with a friend on in a coffee bar or whatever, and having a chat. It's great, it's helpful, but then I really like the support of a coach who challenges me, who asks me those questions which I wouldn't ask myself, or I'm uncomfortable asking myself.
And also I think being focused on this continually being focused on this question of what do I actually really want, and I think that's really become a part of your life on a daily basis, and that's been amazing to watch.
So all elements of my life are touched, be it relationships, be it health, spirituality, money, hobbies, relationships. So I said relationships because so
it's important.
About the way I take care of myself, food. So I mean, I remember one of the biggest challenges I was going through was my health. I had fibroids. I had, I'm 35. In the last 5 years, I've had 2 surgeries for fibroids, and both have actually surprised the doctors who've had to perform the surgeries, that a woman, relatively young, has had so many fibroids. And that got me thinking in my spiritual journey as well, because the Western medicine or the medicine system could only tell me, okay, that's your genes, that's your destiny, that's how you are supposed to be, deal with it. But I wanted to dig deeper. So as a scientist, with your help as well, I dug a little deeper. What were those beliefs? What were those areas that I could address. And that led me a lot deeper into spirituality. It helped me understand the belief patterns or, of guilt or fear that I keep closed inside. And those two surgeries or those two events, sort of bolted me out of my comfort zone and said, I have to own myself or own what I am. And there is no need for guilt. There is no need for fear. Be open about what you are, about what you like. And the surgery happened 1.5 years back, the last surgery. And ever since, it's also helped me realize that, be yourself. And you gave me a lot of support there. So it's a very emotional part of my journey as well.
Yeah, and I think what you're addressing there is really the mind over medicine power that we have, right? Like, so you're absolutely correct. Like, we store emotions, especially negative emotions, so deeply in our body. It's no wonder that sometimes we make ourselves sick. And giving into the explanation of medicine, of it being genetic, is one way of dealing with it. And I think you've taken the alternative path and it's been, really healthy since. So
yeah,
fingers crossed that stays.
There were two books that you recommended now that comes to my mind. One is Women's Body, Women's Wisdom by Kristen Northrup, and another by Alyssa Vitti, which is called The Woman Code. Those two were really, I mean, I was diagnosed of fibroids for the second time, and I was going through a hard time, and you recommended these two authors and these two books to me, and they were like mind blowing. They were talking about things that I wouldn't have imagined. I was in my corporate everyday life thinking things straight logically, not thinking about body, spirit, mind connection with nature, or how food impacts. Like, I was thinking of my body as a container into which I put food and it nourishes itself, whatever. I wasn't being mindful. Now I see that how you can actually partner with your body, with your soul, with your mind. Put in food there that's enriching, and not consider your body as a garbage bin. You don't put junk food in there or like colas in there. You're more mindful. So that has been so awesome. Yeah, I mean, nowadays I'm so mindful of exercising, of meditating, putting in the right foods. I do have my glasses of wine quite often, but I'm, the frequency or the amount of stuff I put in there, I'm more mindful, respectful of my body. So that's been a great journey. And in the last 1 year, my periods or my physical situation has improved so much. I feel more comfortable in my body. I feel more healthy and peaceful. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's really nice to have this conversation because it really shows, even to me on reflection, just how multifaceted your growth has been, right? Like, there's really been impact on, like you say, all areas of life, despite the fact that most people come to coaching with one area that they really want to work on, whether it's career or some sort of question around career, money, relationship, or health. But then it tends to impact, because how you do anything is how you do everything. Once you learn certain things, you become aware, it kind of doesn't go away. So I'm really excited for who knows what this next 6 months to a year bring for you. Thank you so much for sharing your story and being so open about it, because I really do believe that it gives other people hope that for their situation there might be that 1% shift that brings them to a different country, brings them to a different experience, and also just shows how much we can change our lives when there is a taking of control happening, a taking of ownership, of really creating the life that you really want and getting that clarity. So thank you so much for sharing.
I just had to make another point. It just came to my mind.
Please,
it's not that I've given up on one goal or anything. For me, to have clarity on what I want to do, which is the priorities I talked about, or the life coaching now that I've thought of for myself as a career. The last 2 years has been about bringing clarity into what I wanted to do. So I had to first tackle those elements to bring clarity into my world. So I had to first take care of my health, take care of my relationships. So now I'm more peaceful. Now I see clearly what I want, and I now go towards that goal, and I'm much more capable of taking care of a money or a health situation that can come up. So
I think you're spot on with that.
Faceted, yes, as the need be.
Yeah, I that's definitely very much my own experience also, and repeatedly the experience of my clients, right? Like they kind of want to work on one thing, but then it turns out that there's something else that is actually holding them back more at the moment, and it kind of unfolds like a butterfly effect into other areas, right? But I also transformed one area after the other in my life, and it was meant to be that way, and it often tends to be that experience. So thank you for
I'm
sharing that.
grateful
That's
to have your support in that journey. I wouldn't have
you're
been
welcome.
able to do it alone. So thank you.
Thank you too for sharing it with me. So thanks so much for taking the time, Meera. Lots of love over to Germany. And well, we're going to speak soon anyway, but I hope that those of you who've been watching this have just fallen a little bit in love with Meera like I have, and her journey, and that you found some wisdom in the story that she was sharing in her life, very courageously sharing here publicly for you guys to be inspired by. So lots of love, and have a great rest of the day.
Love back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.